Hey guys, let's get more news from Dallas Cowboys, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Cowboys news: DeMarvion Overshown more hungry to compete after injury. Everyone should be excited to see DeMarvion Overshown with the Dallas Cowboys next season. On Tuesday afternoon, while in the midst of the latter stages of his recovery, Overshown participated in a fan event at Academy Sports and Outdoors in North Frisco, where he was able to play backyard games with fans and sign autographs. Despite the trials of his first year in the NFL, his smile remained just as big as it did when he first walked into the Star 11 months ago. "It means the world to me to see the faces on the kids, on the people, for somebody just taking the time to do this, because I knew how much it meant to me when I would go to an event like this," Overshown said. "Any chance I get to come out and be in the community, I'm always there for them. Some kid will remember that." His recovery remains on schedule, as Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones said last week in Indianapolis that he expects Overshown, along with fellow torn ACL recovery Trayvon Diggs, to be ready in time for training camp in July. "We're pushing right at 6 months out," Overshown said. "Everything is going good. We're starting to move around. We're ahead of the curve. It's just a process. This isn't what my rookie year was supposed to be, but you get up and you do it every day." If there is anything positive to take away from an ACL tear, Overshown hasn't been alone in his recovery. Along with Diggs, who tore his ACL in late September, Overshown has been able to rehab with fellow rookies tight end John Stephens Jr. and wide receiver David Durden. If anyone knows the burden of playing quarterback of the Cowboys, it's Troy Aikman. As Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott awaits to hear if he will earn a contract extension with the team, former Cowboys quarterback Troy Aikman thinks Prescott is a shoo-in. Despite Prescott's 2-5 playoff record during his time in Dallas so far, Aikman thinks the 30-year-old still has his best years ahead with the franchise. "He'll be here for a little while longer, he should be," Aikman said, via Patrick Walker. "He's proven he can play at a high level. I know that they've come up short as a team the last few years, but he's been a great player in this league. His best years are still ahead of him." This isn't the first time Aikman shared high praise for Prescott. After the Cowboys lost to the Green Bay Packers in the wildcard round in January, the ESPN announcer said he still believes in Dak. "The hope is that Micah Parsons will have a new contract before his 5th year." The Cowboys are exercising the 5th-year option on Micah Parsons' contract. That isn't news given it was expected. However, the Cowboys are placing the option on Parsons as a defensive end, not a linebacker, Michael Gelkin of the Dallas Morning News reports. As a linebacker, Parsons would earn $24 million in 2025 in the final year of his contract, but the defensive end salary is $21.32 million, per Gelkin. Parsons is listed as a linebacker, but he has played more defensive end the past 2 seasons. He played 87.8% of his snaps at defensive end last season, according to Pro Football Focus. All offseason, there was plenty of talk on Troy Fautanu and his versatility. Some made comments that he would best be placed at guard in the NFL to succeed. That idea is still on the table, but drafting him to play tackle is now a very viable option. During the measurements, he officially came in at 6 feet 3 inches and 317 pounds, which is perfectly fine to play tackle. The main concern for Fautanu was his reach and arm length, but he measured in at 34.5 inch on his arm length, which would place him in the adequate range among offensive tackles. Fautanu also had a good day during the athletic testing. He came in with a 1.77s. 10-yard split, 69%, along with a very fast 5.01s. 40-yard time, 90%. His broad jump of 113-inch, 92%, also showed his explosiveness, proving he has all the tools to play offensive tackle in the NFL. The problem for Dallas is Fautanu may have put himself in the top 20, just out of reach for the Cowboys pick. That means if they want him, they may have to go up and get him. The Cowboys used 7 of their 45 formal interview choices on the wide receiver position. One of the receivers the Cowboys spent time talking to was Longhorns burner Xavier Worthy. Unless you missed Worthy due to how insanely fast he was at Indianapolis, He set a new fastest 40-yard time at 4.21 s. His elite athleticism didn't end there, however. Although he didn't outrun Des Bryant's combine-leading 10-yard split time of 1.4 s, Worthy still clocked in at 1.48 s, which is elite quickness. But Worthy also registered a vertical jump of 41-inch, 98%, and a broad jump of 10'11", 97%. Some will argue that Worthy is just a fast deep threat and stirred up echoes of John Ross some years ago who failed to translate in the NFL. But he proved he's a lot more than that, and his 26 career touchdowns for Texas is testament to the fact. For Dallas, they would have viewed Worthy as a prospect just outside the top 50, but after his performance at the Combine, he's now inside the top 40. 3 potential landing spots for former Seahawks safety Jamal Adams. After 4 injury-plagued seasons, safety Jamal Adams' time with the Seattle Seahawks has come to an unceremonious end. On Tuesday, Seattle made the rather unsurprising move to release the 3-time Pro Bowler as part of several cuts to prepare for the new league year. Not only was Adams, who was acquired from the New York Jets in 2020, unable to stay on the field for Seattle, but he never came close to replicating his 9.5 sack debut season with the team. In fact, Adams hasn't recorded a single sack since then and has only played in 22 games in that span. While his best days are undeniably behind him, Adams could be an intriguing boom or bust option for teams eyeing to bolster their secondary. Here are 3 teams that could be a fit for Adams. If Seattle hadn't mistakenly traded a package that included 2 first-round picks for Adams, chances are that Dallas would have been the team the Jets took advantage of. The Cowboys made an offer for the Louisville, Texas native at the 2019 trade deadline, and Adams later expressed interest in the team following his trade request from New York. Despite starting safety Jaron Kearse being set to hit free agency, Dallas is in a relatively stable spot in terms of safety depth, even if it cannot re-sign the veteran. Although that means Adams' services aren't necessarily needed, considering he should come cheap, he'd be worth taking a flyer on. Not to mention that since Adams has never been reliable in coverage, he could be better suited to serving more of a box linebacker role with the Cowboys. In turn, this would allow LB Marquise Bell to slide back to safety more often and compensate for a potential Kearse departure. Green Bay will surely be in the market for multiple safeties, as its top 3 players at the position will be unrestricted free agents. In all likelihood, the Packers probably won't consider an Adams pursuit until top safety options such as Xavier McKinney and Geno Stone make their free agency decisions. Even so, if they strike out on the more trustworthy candidates, or simply want to add depth, Adams is capable of wearing multiple hats for a Packers defense that would benefit from more versatility. As we touched on in Dallas section above, Adams' best chance to extend his career may be playing more at linebacker than at safety, and if he's willing to do so, he'd be a perfect match for the Packers. At the time of this article's publication, Green Bay only has 4 inside linebackers under contract for 2024, and it could still release Devondre Campbell to save nearly $10.6 million in cap space. Even though Green Bay will have to manage its cap situation wisely, the team shouldn't be discouraged from gambling on Adams, especially if it cuts Campbell. Back in 2021, Steelers HC Mike Tomlin told reporters that Adams was a unique talent and explained that getting him around the football was a simple formula for success. Of course, Adams isn't close to the player he once was, but perhaps Tomlin can put him in the best situation to thrive. Despite having Damontae Kazee and Keanu Neal signed through next season, Pittsburgh will likely search for a safety who can start opposite All-Pro Minkah Fitzpatrick this offseason. According to Pro Football Focus metrics, Kazee and Neal were the NFL's 71st and 73rd highest-graded safeties in 2023. While both graded higher than Adams, the former Seahawk was judged on a 9-game sample size. When healthy, Adams is still arguably more effective than Kazee and Neal. The Steelers have shown a willingness to see what they can get out of players past their primes, most recently with CB Patrick Peterson and WR Allen Robinson II, though neither acquisition paid off in 2023. However, Adams, in theory, is a better reclamation project to invest in and could be open to a deal worth less than the 2-year, $14 million contract Peterson signed last offseason. And you fan, what do you think of the Jamal Adams situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.